You can practically see it from here. What? Home. Welcome to Should You Watch This with the Popcorn Priest, a weekly podcast for movie enthusiasts, current and ex-movie theater projectionists, new and old friends. Take the time to talk about a movie that we just watched and answer that very question, should or shouldn't you watch this? At the point of crisis, at the point of annihilation, survival is victory. Dunkirk is next.
You can practically see it from here.
What?
Home.
We have a job to do.
I'm not going back.
He's on me.
I'm on him. Take me home.
Dunkirk, rated PG-13. See it in 70mm July 21st.
Oh, man, what it would have been to see it in 70mm, dude.
Yeah, facts.
I mean, jeez. Joining me today is one of our reoccurring guests, JJ, a.k.a. this is one of my favorite multiplayer maps in Call of Duty. Welcome back. It seems like we are reviewing war movies, and I'm okay with that.
Thanks for having me, Popcorn. Yeah, Dunkirk. Great war movie. Epic war movie.
Correct. Yeah, it seems we've done 1917. Is there any other one?
Tropic Thunder.
Tropic Thunder is a war movie. Yeah. Correct. Let's get into the details.
The deets.
The description for this one: Allied soldiers from Belgium, the British Commonwealth and Empire, and France are surrounded by the German army and evacuated during a fierce battle in World War II. That's a kind of a decent description. Not great, but that's what you get from IMDb. Directed by Sir Christopher Nolan. Top billed stars are Finn, I think it's pronounced Finn, even though it looks like Fun. Finn Whitehead, Barry Coogan, Barry Coogan, a young Barry Coogan, Sir Mark Rylance, lots of sirs, Tom Hardy, Sir Kenneth Branagh, and Sir Michael Caine. His voice only. Spoiler alert. Runtime of 1 hour and 46 minutes. Rated PG-13. Genre on Rotten Tomatoes says war, history, drama. And IMDb says action, drama, history. What one do you like?
I like the first one. You gotta have war in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, war, history, drama.
Yeah.
There is action too. I guess you could splice that in wherever you want, but I like Rotten Tomatoes this time. Speaking of IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb gives this a 7.8 out of 10, which is very high from 740,000 reviews. Rotten Tomatoes gives us a 92% from 473 critics and 81% from 50,000 plus audience ratings. I feel like the audience rating is a little low. Be a little higher.
Yeah, 7.8 on IMDb.
No, I think that's right. Anything close to 8, and if you hit 8 or above, like very hard to do on IMDb. But the audience rating on Rotten Tomatoes 81. I kind of feel like it's a little low.
Yeah, I agree. B-, nah, bump that up.
Yeah, give me get closer to 90, like the critics. Where to watch this right now? At the time of this recording, you can only rent it from your preferred purveyor of digital media, or better yet, please, everyone, just go buy it. Buy the physical media. It's dying. It's a dying thing, and we need to keep it alive, just like vinyl records is a thing. So please go buy it. Don't rent it. Don't stream it. Buy it. Ship it to your house. Can't buy it from Best Buy because they've stopped selling physical media, but other people have it like Amazon. So please just go buy it. Or if you choose the highest tier of our Patreon account, you'll have access to the Popcorn Priest permanent collection. Go to patreon.com/Popcorn Priest for details. All right, dude, this is where we get into the most beloved, newish category of Popcorn Reviews the Reviews.
Yeah, well, you know, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right, dude. JJ, what do you want? Do you want the whiplash? Do you want all ones?
Can we start with the positive?
Okay, I like that. That means we'll end on a negative, which is
That's
okay.
fine, but
okay. I think we're going to have a lot of it's very polarized. So get ready.
I'm definitely interested in hearing the negative point of view.
Yeah.
I have a hard time anything with this movie.
Yeah.
But positive things.
And I love the extremes. That's why I picked these, because it's so fun to see how far someone goes one way or the other. But starting off the first 10 out of 10, here's the title of the review. All these bad reviews are a reflection of current media consumption trends and the attention span of the average consumer, not the movie itself, says The Revolving Monk. The Revolving Monk says, I guess I shouldn't be surprised how many people didn't like this movie in an era of CGI, reboots, remakes, sequels, prequels, and generally easy to digest movies, TV shows. This is a real Christopher Nolan movie, not a Batman, but a real Christopher Nolan movie like Memento or Prestige. Watch it a few times. Pay attention to the details. Appreciate the sensory experience. Most of these bad reviews are because the person watched it once and was upset they weren't spoon-fed every aspect of the characters and story. There is a ton of characterization and a great story, but you have to pay attention. 10 out of 10. Yeah, I agree with everything the Revolving Monk says. I agree. It's right. And that's why I picked it, because I agree with you, Mr. Monk.
I just had a hard time. I was just thinking about what a revolving monk was the whole time you read that.
Yeah, what would that be? A monk who renounces his religion, then comes back?
Constantly
multiple times?
Revolving?
Yeah.
Can a monk do that?
Maybe he sins and then just like, you know what? I got to go back. And then he's like, nah, I really like those sins.
Just partying, going crazy, and he comes back.
He's a revolving monk.
All right. I agree with everything, but when you talked about Batman's not a real Nolan movie, I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
Batman is a great Nolan movie. The whole trilogy is. That is Nolan.
It is correct.
And it's amazing, and he's going to take credit for it. So
yeah,
it's a Nolan movie.
I think that monk needs to go back and check himself.
Yeah, revolve on that.
Revolve.
And then come back.
Correct. All right, first 1 out of 10. Nope. Says support 43717. Or excuse me, 13. I don't want to get that confused with the other nopes. Too loud. Too disjointed. Too much Kenneth Branagh, staring meaningfully into the distance. There seem to be many scenes that would not be reasonable, starting with two soldiers encountering each other in an isolated location. They would not silently go about their business without confirming each other's identity. I thought I saw a Spitfire that had run out of fuel first fly right to left, then left to right to land on a beach in front of the Germans, descending in daylight and then landing in darkness. There was so much confusion as to what was being shown and such loud music that it was difficult to follow the story. The critics seemed to love this movie. I don't know why. 1 out of 10.
What's this one's name?
Support with some
he needs support because he's down bad. Somebody hurt him, and I feel sorry for him.
Someone wronged him early in his life.
Yeah, he's crying out for some support right now. I feel like
he needs some support. I mean, dude, that sucks. Sorry. Let's move on to another 10 out of 10 to cleanse our palate. Damn. Says Shaz the Zarch. No, Sash the Zarch. That's his username.
Nice.
He just says, damn, what a movie. I'm just going to read it like that. This is to be the best way to tell a story. Many people may find it boring as it's slow paced. I don't know about that.
Slow paced my ass.
No, the entire score is it's building and building and building constantly.
Constantly ascending, never static, never dull.
Yeah, not boring. And it's not slow paced. But Shash the Zarch says, but this slowliness of the movie give the sense of terror which happened in the story. I'm not having a stroke. This guy might not be, have English as a first language, but I like how it's mainly without any music. It's a simple war story told by a soldier's POV. It's slow, just like a human's life. What? For me, this movie is amazing as it's able to show the true problems faced by those people. I love this one. 10 out of 10.
All right, SARS.
Sarge, I think you might need to go back to English class, but even still, I think it's okay.
Yeah, he enjoyed it. I'm happy that he enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks, Sarge. All right. Next 1 out of 10. Boring and bad, says Joe Duran. Joe Duran.
Joe Duran.
It's his full name, so you could look him up. Here we go. I picked this one for you, JJ. This movie is beyond bad, Number 1, he has a list, okay? Annoying music, Permanent background music that tries to convey dramatic moments for all the scenes, even undramatic scenes. I was annoyed 15 minutes into the film. 2 hours later, was wondering why I didn't walk out of the film earlier. I counted at least 10 people walking out and not coming back. How can you confirm that, Mr. Joe Duran? Did you check their tickets?
I've never seen one person leave the theater, let alone 10 in one theater, especially for Dunkirk. I just think those numbers are inflated.
Yeah, I think there needs to be a recount, Joe. All right, number 2. Bad editing, period. The story unfolds from 3 different perspectives, which makes the scenes repetitive and adding nothing. Number 3, boring, period. Nothing really happens. What?
Joe doesn't know.
Joe don't know. Number 4, unrealistic, period. Without giving any spoiler, the movie does not represent at all the sheer magnitude of what really happened in Dunkirk. Please don't waste your time watching this, not even on Netflix or even on TV. 1 out of 10. What are you watching Netflix on? I guess you could watch it on a tablet or a phone, but like...
Don't do it. RGV.
Yeah, I mean, you got to watch this movie on the biggest screen you could possibly find in order to enjoy it the most. If you're watching it on a phone, shame on you. Whew, okay, oh man, I'm kind of angry right now.
Yeah, those are some ridiculous reviews.
Let's get our last 10 out of 10. I mean, you asked for it. We're going to end on a sour note, but here we go. Last 10 out of 10 says, astounding, says Timothy Lockwood, another full name. They're just giving out their names. They want to be docs. They want people to know who they are, I guess.
Yeah. Let's hear what Tim has to say.
Short but sweet. It's not often that I leave the cinema with my hands literally shaking. But I will argue that Dunkirk is one of the best films I have ever experienced. The feeling of anxiety and agonizing, he can't spell, agonizing tension throughout the film creates the most electric atmosphere of being completely absorbed in the events of the film. This is, however, a film that won't work at a home viewing. The IMAX experience is amazing, and this is a film so obviously created with the cinematic experience, and it shines through making difficult to recreate the same feeling in the average living room. This aside, I feel that Dunkirk is possibly one of the best cinematic experiences of all time. 10 out of 10.
All right, Timothy.
I love that he pointed out, like, you should... I mean, he probably reviewed this at the time it was being screened in theaters, so you should have seen this in IMAX. That it would be and is the best way to experience this. But now it's now 2024. See it on the biggest screen possible. A humble brag, we got to watch it, JJ and I, on a 133-inch screen. We shook the towers of Babel today.
Yes, sir.
And it was awesome.
I'm a little worried about Timothy's hands, though. They're shaking after the movie.
Yeah, maybe
he might need to get that checked.
Yeah, he needs to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
Timothy Lockwood, we hope you're okay. Last 1 out of 10. This movie is terrible. Am I in the Matrix? Says Perla or Pirla 02149. Where do I start? I might read this as a Karen. Where do I start? I suppose it's that I feel compelled to write my very first ever review. This is an abomination of a film. From the horrific score to the lack of character. From the ear-splitting sound design to the way he tried to Nolan the chronology. From the dull screenplay to the lack of any act structure is boring. Aggravating mess. How is this getting such good reviews? I can only think that everyone, as I did, expected to be another Nolan masterpiece. I've never wanted to leave a cinema more, and I was forced to sit through this ungodly mess that was Transformers 5 last week. 1 out of 10. So I'm guessing Perla is a lady, but could be any human. They decided that they're going to compare this to Transformers 5.
Whew.
I don't have any words. To be honest, I'm a movie lover. Obviously, I do this all the time. I love Transformers movies, but please don't compare this to Transformers, Perla. It's not right.
I understand what she's kind of saying, though, with the lack of character development, because this movie does do that, but...
Don't you think it's part of the way he wanted to tell the story?
100%. It's not necessary. He's able to do it without that character development, which I think is like fantastic.
Yeah.
These are just kids trying to survive. We don't need their backstory, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. We don't need it. I agree. Let's move on to should or shouldn't you watch this? All right, here's 5 reasons why you should watch Dunkirk. And then if there's any I'm missing, JJ, let me know. Number 1, if you like Sir Christopher Nolan, then you should watch this. Right? Like if you're a
100.
Nolan fan, you got to be watching it.
Yeah, he's like usually with the Comic-Con crowd before this in his era with the, Dark Knight and sci-fi, things like that. And this is kind of like out. You might be like, oh no, this is, not in his realm, but I think this is one of his best movies, if not his best.
I agree. Yeah. So number 1, if you like Nolan, watch this. Number 2, if you like war movies, this is for you. And I'm not saying we love war, because war, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. But I think, I don't know how you enjoy war movies, but this is a war movie, and if you like those and you have watched them, this is for you.
And if you want to learn about the history of Dunkirk, like I really didn't know about this story until this movie and learning more about it. And
that's true.
It does do a great job of it, like kind of explaining the history and what's going on.
I agree.
And how like the, English rallied after this.
I kind of feel like I need to do more research now on Dunkirk and read more historical. I'd like to know more about what happened with the events leading up to this particular circumstances, and then what happened after with how Churchill got, his soldiers and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, I agree. Number 3, if you have a big screen, like a big one, like some TVs now are like 100 inches. Get a big screen. If you have one and any kind of sound system at all, this should be on the list to watch.
Yeah, don't watch this on a plane or a tablet or a phone,
No. I will find you and I will talk ill of you. Okay. And number 4, speaking of sounds, if you want to have an uneasy feeling that never lets up until the end because of that insane music or score, then this is for you. It's arguably part of the cast. Like it's part of the, like it's such
like a character
in the movie. Yes.
Absolutely.
Correct. That's perfect. And last but not least, number 5. I don't have a number 5. You got to help me with number 5. I didn't finish the list. I must have fallen asleep in my chair.
You could say number 5 would be like the authenticity. So like you said with number 1 with Nolan, if you're a fan of Nolan, like this is the Nolan way where he's going to do, visual effects, special effects instead of CGI.
Yeah, and you can't tell. There has to be some CGI in here, but all the shit. I mean, everything is real. Like the ships are real. The big warships are real.
The location is shot on Dunkirk. They got permission to shoot on the beach.
It's insane. Exactly. All those things are real. Any other reasons why you should watch Dunkirk?
It's like a hopeful movie too. Even though it's a war movie, it ends on a hopeful note. I like no spoiler, but
yeah, we'll keep spoilers for next week. But yeah, it is hopeful, and it's cool to see. Like I'm American, and we have a lot of war movies, and I like seeing war depicted from other perspectives. We get a little bit of perspective from the French, not a lot, but it's mainly a British movie, which is awesome.
Yeah, the British, like, obviously Dunkirk spirit is a thing in England, and it's just like never give up attitude, triumph over adversity, and like their communal coming together. So it's kind of cool to learn about their perspective.
Yeah, in this movie, typically like a Saving Private Ryan, for example, pretty hard R, lots of gore, lots of blowing bodies up. This is PG-13. I'm not saying that this isn't as thrilling as any of those maybe rated R war movies, but this one is I would say more approachable to more people. It's because it doesn't have that stuff in it, but it's still as good or better than some movies that have more realistic, like, blood and guts coming out.
Yeah, this has to be like one of the least graphic war movies ever made, but that doesn't, like, the intensity throughout the movie doesn't change because of the lack of. Like, that's what's another impressive about Nolan is he's able to do this without the effects of, like, over the top gore sometimes. He keeps that intensity just with the story, the characters.
Yeah. And one of the reviewers was talking about his editing. The editing is so awesome. I've seen this only probably twice. And now I have the physical media thanks to JJ. Appreciate it. And it was just so revelatory when you start to see all the edits start to come into place. And it was just really, I looked over at you and my eyes went boom when I saw Cillian Murphy. I was like, oh, that's really cool. So yeah, I would say the editing.
This film won best editing at the Oscars. Correct. So, I mean,
any other reasons? I think we covered it.
Yeah, we'll get into more of our likes, next pod, but
correct.
If you haven't watched it, go watch it.
I agree. All right, let's get into by the numbers.
For God's sake, just give me the damn number!
I should have told you not to look up too much stuff because I like to ask the question, but did you find out what the budget was? Do you know what the budget is?
I don't.
What do you think the budget is?
I'll say probably like 100 million.
That's good. 150 million.
Okay.
I thought that was a little high. But once you see it, you're like, okay, that makes sense. But yeah, my initial guess would have been around 100. But it's insane.
Yeah, I should probably say a little higher because it's Nolan. He's doing everything for real, So they built the mole. They built all the things on the set, the ships, everything.
Brought the ships in. Yeah, all the little smaller ships. But $150 million budget. Guess how much it made domestic? I pulled this out. Domestic box office and international box office. 2017, keep in mind.
I don't know. Domestic, like 100 million, I'm going to say again?
190 million.
Okay, double again.
Then international, this blew my mind.
It's going to be more, right?
It's going to be more.
Yeah, England probably love this.
322 million
nice.
International. So combined over $512 million. $500 million.
Yeah, that's why you give Nolan a blank check, and if you're Warner Brothers, his returns are insane.
Yeah. Look what happened with Barbenheimer. Get lots of money.
Took over.
I can't believe that movie made so much money.
Yeah, a historical biopic.
That's rated R?
Nolan, baby.
Listen, guys, I haven't seen Oppenheimer, and I'm so sorry, okay? I want to. It's been on my list.
Popcorn breeze.
I tried to go with JJ. He invited me because he's a really good friend, and I just couldn't go, and I hate myself, okay? I hate myself.
You'll get to it.
All right, here's some numbers. I don't have very many, but I have some good ones. And then you add to, I know you're awesome because you have a little more time than well, I'm not saying you don't have a life. I'm just I'm just saying that you are dedicated and you watch the special features. I didn't have the disc yet, so I couldn't. So you can please layer in anything that is related to numbers. Yeah. All right. My first number is for the sound design of the movie, Sir Christopher Nolan used a Shepard tone. And I want to play something. I hope it's okay with you, JJ, and the listeners. I found this video on YouTube, and it's from Vox, the publication. Vox. And we can shut this off at any point. It's 3 minutes, but it talks about this Shepard tone, and it's unbelievable. Go find the video and watch it, but the audio alone, just listen to how they describe this tone. It's way more than you think it is when you're listening to it. And this will actually heighten your experience of watching Dunkirk. So take a listen.
Hans Zimmer's score for Dunkirk starts with the sound of ticking. And that's a common theme in the legendary composer's work. You can hear it in Interstellar and in Sherlock Holmes. But in Dunkirk, the ticking makes way for an overwhelming orchestra that seems like it's rising higher and higher, but never actually does. It's so tense, it makes you cling to your seat. That is because Zimmer is taking advantage of an auditory illusion caused by something called a Shepard tone. It consists of several tones separated by an octave layered on top of each other. As the tones move up the scale, the highest pitch tone gets quieter, the middle pitch remains loud, and the lowest bass pitch starts to become audible. Because you can always hear at least two tones rising in pitch at the same time, your brain is tricked into perceiving a constant ascending tone. Loop it all together, and it sounds like a piano scale going on for infinity. When the transition between tones is continuous, it's called a Shepard reset glissando, and it can sound really spooky.
Oh my gosh, dude. Stop.
This can happen in the opposite direction too.
Oh, weird.
You can hear it in the endless stairs in Super Mario 64.
What?
And in Pink Floyd. It's like a barber's pole of sound, constantly seeming to rise without actually going anywhere. Put that in a soundtrack?
I might get a copyright infringement on this. I don't know.
And it creates
I'm
the
just going to
sound
let
of
the
rising
roll the
tension that
dice.
Carries the screenplay forward.
Fox will be good to us.
Christopher Nolan loves this illusion. You can hear it in the Batpod sound effect in the last two Dark Knight films, and in the music of The Prestige, composed by David Julian. Nolan's films are often all about time, how it warps in space, in our dreams, and in our memories, and there's tension that comes with that. An illusion like this makes that tension palpable. All it takes is clever sound design.
All right, I'm gonna tease you there. Please go finish that video so Vox gets credit for this. And but that it's just letting you know what goes into this cool effect that adds, like JJ mentioned, another character to the film, and with this Shepard tone. It's awesome. And it's layered in to the three different stories, which ties them all together very beautifully. All right, here's some more numbers. How many boats, I just reviewed Step Brothers, so I almost said boats and hoes. Sorry. How many boats were used on the sea?
Again, I came across this, 800.
Okay. What? And I only saw 50. And 10 on the beach.
So there's 800 small rescue ones, it said.
Oh my gosh, that sounds...
Maybe not in the movie, but like...
Oh, like in real...
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
In the movie, there were 50 boats.
There you go.
In the sea and 10 on the beach, but it sounds like 800 total.
Yeah, during the whole operation, yeah.
Which makes it... You know, that's interesting, because when Kenneth Branagh, he's looking out, like the reviewer hated him looking out into the sea so much. Like, his reaction is very genuine. If you saw that many boats coming in, it would be overwhelming.
Yeah, it's probably the strongest part of the movie when he delivers that line, the one word.
I agree.
Super effective.
Yeah.
I'm not British and I feel it.
I do. Yeah. I've got some British. My last name's Compton, dude. I'm from my roots are in Britain.
Yeah,
I'm an honorary Briton.
Yeah.
Okay.
Michael Caine's your great uncle.
Michael Caine. All right. How many extras were used?
Ooh, there's a lot.
This one, I thought it should have been more than this.
All right.
I was surprised.
How many?
1,000.
Okay.
That's a lot, but like the way he edits it, it seems way more than that.
Yeah, on the special features, it did show how they use cardboard cutouts.
Really?
For like the lines in the beach and stuff.
Oh, so it made it seem like way more than 1,000.
Yeah, but they were like hand painted. Like they spent some time on these cutouts to make them look authentic.
Wow, that's really cool. I didn't know that. All right, I've got, let's see, 4 more. This is going to blow your marbles, okay? American billionaire Dan Friedkin.
Friend of the pod, Dan.
He's listening. How's it going, Dan? An avid vintage military aviation collector allowed the production to use his 2 Mk1 Spitfires from his collection for the movie. The planes are valued at $5 million each, and his collection is so large that the only person who owns more Spitfires than him is the Queen of England.
Yeah.
What?
Dan. In the special features, I believe he's the one flying them too.
Correct. He lands the plane at the end. That's spoiler alert. There's planes in it. We don't know which one lands and which one crashes. I'm not telling you who, but he lands a Spitfire and it's beautiful.
Thanks, Dan, for like letting you use your historical planes that you somehow have.
I mean, can you send some money to the pod? Sponsor the pod, Dan. Give us some of those billions. Shekels over to the priest. All right, 3 more. This movie had the widest release in the 70mm widescreen format in 25 years. Since Ron Howard's Far and Away in 1992, the 70mm prints were screened at 125 theaters, surpassing the previous record of 100 by Quentin Tarantino's The Hateful Eight in 2015. And speaking of Quentin Tarantino, which I lovingly call him Quarantino.
Oh.
I just like to squish that together.
Not QT?
QT, I like that one. In a podcast, QT called this his second favorite film of the decade. I agree with you, Quarantino, QT.
I saw an interview where he did say like one of the greatest shots in war film history is one of the opening scenes on the beach when the bombs just going boom, 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 and the sand's bursting up in the air.
Oh my God.
And the soldiers are, blowing up in the sky.
I have a pretty big sub and I could feel it in my chest. It was so awesome. I agree with you, QT. All right, last but not least.
What do you think his number 1 movie was?
Ooh, I did not do the research for that. Do you know?
Yeah, some feet movie.
Oh, yeah. It's probably a foot porno.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, lots of feet and dirty feet, weird, where the second toe is a little longer than the big toe. He likes that stuff. Gross. All right, last but not least, 8 Oscar nominations. You mentioned this already, JJ. Best Achievement in Film Editing, Best Achievement in Sound Editing, Best Achievement in Sound Mixing were all the ones that won, the 3 that won. For obvious reasons, I agree. All right.
Yeah, I got some beefs with those I'll bring up later.
Okay. Yeah, let's save it for next week. I did look up the top 10 movies of 2017. Dunkirk, where do you think Dunkirk falls on the list?
For the year?
Or does it fall on the list?
I don't know. I don't know how many like superhero movies came out that summer, but top 10 at least, I would say.
It is not. It was 19th on the list, and this will make you feel really sad. And this is basically the landscape of movies, and I hope it's changing, but listen to the top 10. It's basically littered with sequels and superhero movies. 1, Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi, Beauty and the Beast remake, Fate of the Furious, Despicable Me 3, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Thor Ragnarok, Wonder Woman. It's like, man, can we give our money, give some money to
I think the tide's turning though. So
I think it is. Like
the Barbenheimer, like you mentioned last year.
Yeah. A24 is kind of coming on the scene, bringing some arguably weird freaking movies, but some really great ones too. So hopefully we're people are like getting tired of that.
Yeah.
We'll see. Any numbers that I missed that you might have found in your research watching the special features?
Well, just for the history of the, whole Dunkirk episode. So there's about 300,000 British soldiers, 100,000 French. And I believe like around 340 of them got rescued, 340,000.
Wow.
And I believe Churchill, he thought that about 20 or 30,000 would get rescued. So the fact that like 338 got rescued shows like the miracle that this was.
There's so many like vignettes in this movie about the rescue attempt, well, not attempt, successful rescue. That it's just awe-inspiring.
And then the last number I have is the percentage of IMAX this was filmed in, 70%. And I guess he wanted to use it more, but the camera's so loud during dialogue scenes. That's why it goes back to that format.
Yeah, I can see that. It is, and it's getting better. And he's a proponent of that, which is awesome. And probably Tom Cruise, the other person that is
TC, I love you.
Oh man. I'm so glad you listened, Tom. Thanks for joining us on the
Big friend of the pod.
Big, huge friend of the pod. Doesn't give us any money, but I'm really glad that you're here. All right. Any other numbers we missed before we close up shop and come back next week with all of our beefs and redemption?
I think we got it.
All right, man. At this point, there will be spoilers up ahead. So if you want to watch and then come back next week and join us for a breakdown of Dunkirk from 2017. I'm on the social media. I dare you to message the great Popcorn Priest at Popcorn Priest. I love movies and would love it if you'd share the love. Share this with the movie lover in your life. Another way to support the show is by throwing a few shekels at the priest, which means money. Give me money. Send it to me at patreon.com/Popcorn Priest and see what extra perks you can enjoy. Lastly, the easiest way to support the show and the most free is liking and subscribing and giving us a 5-star review. Easier than shooting down a German plane in the air.
A lot easier.
As always, thanks for listening. And also thank you to my special guest, JJ. Always a pleasure, my man.
Thanks, Popcorn.
Join us next week for part 2 of Dunkirk. Now I know why Call of Duty made a WW2 map after this from 2017. We will see you next week. That is, if the rescue party doesn't come and get you. We'll see you next week.